All right, here we are. I guess I'm live. Okay. So this is a re-recording of a Facebook Live that I did not too long ago. I did about an hour and a half Facebook Live showing the new core framework by the developers of Oxy Ninja and Motion.page. I posted it on the Facebook page just to find out that I didn't capture my audio. So super cool there. And before I go on, I'm actually going to do a quick audio test. So I'm going to grab my link here and get some nasty feedback. There we go. Okay, I am playing audio, so hopefully I won't screw it up this time. All right, so I'm going to try to go through this pretty much the same way that I did before. Hopefully I can streamline it a little bit because I don't feel like doing another hour and a half, and nobody's going to watch an hour and a half, especially of me just rambling and fumbling around this thing. So here's what we're going to do. Core framework, this thing just came out today. It is July 3rd. I was at the pool with my kid at swim class, and I got the email saying that this thing was live, and I got super excited about it. So this is a framework. It's a web CSS framework for WordPress and for just general websites. That's been in the works for quite some time. And I'm excited about it because I was a big fan of Oxy Ninja, their previous product. And when Oxygen stopped being the flavor of the day, Oxy Ninja wasn't being developed quite as much. Things sort of shifted. And if I remember correctly, I think things may have started shifting before Oxygen fell out of favor. And they realized that their framework needed some more help, and they started building up this thing. So they started building up this core framework, and they put a lot of effort into this thing. I haven't done a whole lot of following along with it. I wasn't part of the beta, and I haven't been reading up on it too much other than to know that it exists, that they've been doing a lot of work on it, and sort of hearing things on the periphery. So when I did the live earlier this evening, everything was brand new to me. And frankly, everything still is brand new to me, aside from playing with it for an hour or so. So we're going to go through basically the same stuff that I did before, hopefully streamline it a little bit, and we'll see what we see. I'm going to switch it over to the screen now. And you know what? Before I forget, I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to post it into their Facebook, just in case anyone else watching it is interested. So give me just 1 second here while I find the core framework. Doing another YouTube Live now with the core framework. Pretty sure I have audio working this time. And post. Boom, bada boom, bada boom. And I'll be the first to admit, I kind of suck at doing YouTube Lives. So if people jump in here to the chat and I don't respond to you, I'm just terribly sorry. I have a hard time doing things live and unscripted. I get all flustered and whatnot. But I'm going to do my best here. And if I do see somebody on chat, I will try to do what I can to answer any questions. So anyway, real quick overview of core framework. And again, this is just that little bit that I've learned on my own. I haven't been privy to the development over the past months or however long that they've been working on this. But overall, this is a pretty cool tool. Let's start at the beginning. A web framework is really a set of CSS classes, variables, and other things that you would need that's going to help you speed up your web projects. Generally, when you start a new web project, you're starting with a blank page. All your rules, basically everything that you do on that page, you've got to write from scratch. And that can be terribly inefficient unless you've got some place to start from. So these frameworks exist to take the pain out of starting a new project. And they give you variables for things like color, typography, spacing, to give you a design system, as well as to make it much quicker to develop these pages and websites. And that's sort of what the core framework is trying to do here. Other popular frameworks exist, things like Tailwind CSS, Bootstrap. Those are traditional web frameworks that are very, very, very popular and are mostly technology agnostic. On the WordPress side, you've got things like ACSS, automatic CSS, people have heard about, and a product called Oxyprops, which is also very popular. There were a few frameworks that existed for the Oxygen page builder for quite a while. So Oxy Ninja, which is the predecessor to this core framework, was one of the big ones. And then there was another one called Oxymade. I owned licenses to both, and I was in the Oxymade camp, and I used it, and I loved it, and it got a lot of things done for me. So maybe some of the things that I'm going to go through here are colored by my history with Oxymade and history with Tailwind and other frameworks. But I also did have a chance to play with Oxy Ninja, and I thought it was a great framework. I think there's a lot to it. So let's take a look at what this is here. So this is not only just a WordPress framework, it does have a WordPress plugin that lets you use this framework inside WordPress, but it also gives you just the vanilla CSS that you can use inside of any web project. That's what makes this different from some of the other WordPress specific ones out there, like automatic CSS and Oxyprops. I think that's what it's called. Oxyprops. So Oxyprops is a kind of a spin-off of a open source thing called OpenProps, which is a very good framework as well. And what it is, standalone on any platform. They've got free Gutenberg integration, which is pretty sweet. And then Bricks integration for $99, Oxygen Builder integration for $99. Rumor has it that if you have a Oxy Ninja license, you'll get this for free. Although when I looked at my Oxy Ninja account, I didn't see anything about that. I didn't look too hard, so I could be making all this up. It has some variables and classes, a smart color system, and we'll get to that in just a minute. And what I really like is that I can add and remove any of those classes. I can change any of these classes. I can change any of these variables on the fly. Their control panel makes this stuff super, super duper simple. And then we have Dev God mode. I don't know what the hell Dev God mode is, but I love it. I'm going to call everything Dev God mode from now on. Component editor. This is pretty slick. I only took a brief look at it before. But I have a feeling this is going to be pretty darn powerful. Color system, I'm liking this a lot. Fluid everything, so fluid typography, fluid padding, margins, all that good stuff in there. And yes, of course, you have to elevate your design game. Anyway, enough of this crap. Let's go ahead and jump into the control panel. So I've logged into my account. And here we've got the control panel. And this is where all the magic happens. This is where you actually set up your framework. So if you remember from Oxy Ninja or any of those other things, you basically have a cheat sheet with a bunch of classes and a bunch of variables in a list or a PDF or whatever that you've got to copy and paste from. This gives you a cool little control panel where you not only set your properties, but you can also copy and paste your classes and your variables straight from in here. And it's organized pretty nicely. The other thing that I really am loving about this is that we're not limited to what's in here right now. I can add whatever I want. I can delete whatever I want. I can move them around. I can duplicate them. I can do pretty much anything. So while this is pretty powerful right now, and it does have some limitations, there's some things in here that I'll get to in a minute that I think should have been included out of the box and aren't. It seems to be flexible enough to handle whatever the heck you want to do with it. So let's just take a quick look. We're going to go down all these things right from the get-go. And I'm going to start here at the top, actually. I'm going to start with all breakpoints, because this is one of the nice things is that by default, we've got some breakpoints defined. If I want to, I can come in and I can modify this breakpoint. So I can edit this media query to say, I don't want it to end at 992. I want it to end at something different. I can delete this breakpoint if I want. And I can add new media query to add new breakpoints. So, again, that just kind of speaks to the flexibility of this thing. They've done a lot here. So over here, we've got colors. We've got typography. We've got some fluid spacing. And I should mention typography is all fluid. Colors, we've got the main colors defined here. And then as we go into it, we'll see that we've got shades and tints that also can get auto-generated along with transparencies. So we've got fluid typography, fluid spacing. So that's going to be for general spacing variables as well as gap, margin, and padding classes. We've got these components, which are really cool because I can come in here and I can modify each of these components. I can edit the properties and all the different things about each of these components. This is super duper slick. I'm loving this. And then we've got some layouts, general, just general classes here for layouts, alignments, other things like that you're going to use all the time. Coming in here to design, we've got some border radiuses, some variables and classes for border radiuses, for borders, box shadows, opacities, other things, lots and lots of classes for that, and then other general utilities. And here's where I think this could definitely be beefed up a little bit more, is that it could use a few more utilities. And I also think that this thing could use some general normalization rules, or some just basic stuff that you would put into a general framework to get started. So I actually have my project open up already. Here, don't reload, go away. All right, so here, here's kind of my starter CSS file, and basic stuff in here, like we've got box sizing, border box. That's pretty general. I've got rules in here for, let me find it. So buttons, if I have a button element or something with the roll of button, I'm going to make a pointer cursor. Image, picture, and video are going to be display block, height of auto, max width of 100%. Things are going to get, where are we at here? I don't know this. I've developed this thing over. Okay. Am I live again? I think I'm live again. Sorry about that little power outage. We've got a storm coming through here. So hopefully this thing's still going on. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm going to just clap my hands real quick so that I can see what the heck's happening. If I see myself clap over in my video preview, I know that we're still live. If not, well, we're screwed. All right, so anyway, so back to some of the basic stuff that I have in my boilerplate CSS. I've got things like, button focus styles, Xcloak. This is for some Alpine.js things. Block quote margins, citations, emphasis, and italics, get a font style of italics. So, general basic stuff like this. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you for telling me that I'm still live. See, I've got a storm going on out there on one side, and then I think the neighbors are setting off fireworks somewhere else. So that's kind of cool. All right. So anyway, so we've got lots of stuff that you would generally put into a framework that I'm just not seeing inside of the core framework here. And maybe that was by design, so that people can build it themselves. And I'm totally cool with that. I guess my only concern is that there's going to be a lot of people who aren't familiar with those things and don't even know that they're going to want them, that wouldn't know to put them in here. So the flexibility is there to put this inside of core framework from everything that I've seen. But people aren't going to know what they don't know unless you tell them. And if I'm building a project outside of WordPress, I'm going to want to reset. I'm going to want a lot of things that this doesn't have in there. And again, if I'm doing that outside of WordPress, I probably know what the heck I'm doing. But again, I would expect a framework to be able to help me out with all that. Anyway, enough said on all that. There's some other things when I get into a quick demo of building a little section that you'll see where the frustration comes into play. So I kind of breezed down the sidebar here. Import, export. This is nice. So they've got this core file, and that's just a file that holds the definition of everything that we've got here inside of the framework builder, so that I can import and export it. I can move it from the web builder here to the WordPress plugin, which runs independent of the website. I can export this project to save the project to my local system and load it up, make any changes that I need to, and use this online builder for multiple projects instead of just the one that I'm actively working on. And then down here in preferences, we've got some different things like if I want to turn on respect prefers reduced motion, I would definitely want that turned on. I can set my minimums and maximum screen width sizes. These are going to be for the typography and fluid sizing. We'll get to that in a minute. Root font size. Why the hell do people keep making that 62.5? I don't care that it makes it that I can put rems and I can do rems in terms of tens. It's just silly. The whole world uses 16 pixels as one rem. Don't mess it up. So set this thing at 100% and leave it be. I can't tell you how many times that I've seen problems down the line from people setting the root font size to 62.5%. Just don't do it. Anyway, I'm not going to go to rant. Anyway, okay. So themes, et cetera, we're going to leave all that be. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to take this and build something out, and it's going to look pretty ugly to begin with. And if I wanted to find some colors, I can do that. I've got color picker there. I've got a color chooser here, which is kind of nice. I can pick something off a web page or someplace else on my computer if I want to. I can put in my HSLA values here, and then I've got a bunch of other types of values that I can input here as well. RGB, hex, RGBA, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that I noticed is that if I do a hex value there, it doesn't automatically know that I've typed in a hex value. I would like to see that. Again, minor criticism. So if I'm going to type in a unit, I need to make sure that I select the unit type first over there before I type it in the field. Not a big deal, but it does do a great job of converting it for me. So if I have this, we'll just pop that in. I can put that in, and then I can change that easily to HSLA. That's kind of nice. Hey, Ian. Thanks for joining me. So this is really nice. It does let me convert very easily and seamlessly between different types of colors. When I was testing this, one of the things that happened, I should say, on my previous failed live, I hit this preview CSS button and I was poking around and looking at things in here. I didn't touch anything, but when I came back to my colors, they had reset. And actually they hadn't reset. They had actually all gone to black, and I'm not sure why. I'm guessing I did something wrong. It was just a strange, unexpected thing. And of course I don't have the video anymore. Well, don't have audio anyway. So I have no idea what I did or what could have caused that. But just, it was an odd behavior. But again, this is one of those nice things, is that I'm not stuck with just primary, secondary, tertiary. I can put in, I can put in a fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh color if I want. I can also hit this expand button, and I've got different shades that I can generate. I can choose to generate transparency classes or not, or variants or not. And then I can generate utility classes for text backgrounds or borders. I'm seeing in the current version. Yes, Sri, in the current version. So this was like an hour ago I did this, and it removed everything to black for some reason. So Elle said, any reason why one would set root font size to 100% instead of 62.5 if it's easier and you're working in rems? Yeah, the 62.5 trick is kind of a hack. It's a way that you can set one rem equals 10 pixels. The problem is not everything in the world respects that or knows about that. And even WordPress by default uses the default of one rem is 16 pixels. So it can start messing with your editor if you don't do some other things to make it look correct in there. Some plugins are going to have a really hard time if you do the 62.5 trick. It's just not worth it. And frankly, once you know the math, it's not that hard. Designers generally get used to working in values of 8 anyway. So again, doing the math, not that hard once you're used to it. But it is kind of a pain in the butt for the first month or two until you kind of get it in your head what some of the different things are. If I want 18 pixels, I'm going to have 1.125 rems. That is so not intuitive to anybody. But I know it off the top of my head because I've just done it so much. Anyway, so it's kind of nice in here that I can, choose to generate these classes or not. Same thing with the transparencies. Shades, I thought this was kind of interesting, is that I can do 3 shades or more, but I can't do less than 3 shades and tints. So there's a lot of times when I will just want a primary color and one shade and one tint, or maybe two shades and two tints. But I found that kind of odd that the builder in here has 3 as a minimum. Again, there might be a technical reason for that that I'm just not privy to. Just thought it was interesting. Yeah, if we take a look at the CSS, we can see that we're generating a whole heck of a lot of variables here. And wait a minute. Why is my hue 0? Oh, wait, never mind. We can see that we're generating a whole, this is me not thinking clearly why I'm trying to talk. We can see that we're generating a whole lot of variables here. And part of that's because we've got so many shades and tints for each color. It's probably not necessary. So I would love the ability to have less than 3 of each if I needed them, or if I didn't need them all. Again, not a big deal. Because the size of this CSS is so darn small that it's not hurting anything. It's just making it a little bit ugly for me. So we've got our brand colors, we've got our neutral colors. It's nice that they have our light and our dark predefined. I would generally want to put in a grayscale in here as well. And we don't have anything in there for grayscale. So I would generally do like a medium gray, light gray, and dark gray, and then status, success, and error. I might want to put a warning color in there. But again, that's just part of, what I do when I'm setting up my own theme, my own, framework, whatever you want to call it. You can put in other color groups if you want. That's pretty nice. And again, you can modify, select, delete, add whatever you want in there. Cool. Enough of that. Coming over to typography. This is also nice, but I found it kind of strange that we're doing things in rems, coming back here to preferences. We're outputting rems, but I'm seeing my typography in pixels and I can't change this anywhere. I really want to see pixels and be able to change these units from pixels to rems and see them as rems. I do like that I have different scales that I can use for my minimum and maximum fluid typography. And let's just do this real quick. So fluid typography calculator. Let's see if I can find the one that I was looking at earlier. The way fluid typography works is pretty cool. Pardon me while I click around for a minute. Nope, not that one either. You would do... I'm not going to sit here and search for this while I'm talking. I shouldn't. But I'm going to anyway. All right. So basically you put in a minimum and a maximum value for each size, as well as your viewport minimum and maximum sizes. And it's going to calculate a middle value depending on what your current viewport size is. Let's see if I can, viewport calculator, slope. And it does that by using, there's a couple different ways of doing it. Here's one way. The way that I like to see it done, and the way that that this framework does it, the core framework does it, is very nice. And they'll use the minimum value and the maximum value, then they calculate the slope so that wherever you are between the minimum and maximum viewport size, you're getting a nice even change there. Calculating the slope is the good way, probably the better way to do it. However, I see some places where they're going to do fluid typography and they will use a percentage of your viewport size, which is sort of lazy and kind of ugly and leads to some errors. Sri is saying that I think it automatically converts those to rem. At least that's what I read about in the advanced themer. Yes, I think it does convert them to rem. I'm just mostly complaining that it doesn't show me rems here in the builder. That I need to think in my head, I've got to convert these pixels to rems. And I would love the option to just set the unit here so that I can see it. Matter of fact, let's go and preview the CSS. So text M, yeah, we can see that the variable's doing all this inside of, using rems, not pixels. So no problems there. It's just a view thing for me. So again, I do like the fact that I can change the base naming convention as well as my maximum minimum font sizes. I've got classes that get generated from all that. And this is where it starts getting interesting, is I can come in here to my headings and I can tell it what size I want to use. and line height I want to use. I can put all that here inside this tool, and it's going to generate the CSS for me. The thing that I thought was kind of interesting, though, is that it doesn't actually reference the variable. Let's take a look at this in here again. So if I take a look at my H1, it doesn't reference the variable. It shows the actual calculation. It puts that in the CSS again. So, I guess in some ways this might be a little bit faster because it doesn't have to go back through the variable to find this calculation. But looking at it, it makes it a lot harder for me to, looking at the CSS, to know what this means. So again, coming back to sort of the one that I use, my H1 element, my font size is my variable for H1 text size, H1 text weight, H1 text line height. And it makes it very easy for me to come in, and if I need to change these, I can, and I can very easily know what the heck these things mean. Whereas looking at the CSS for this framework, it's a little harder to read. But again, thinking about the target audience of this thing, it's probably not people that are going to be coming in here and reading the CSS anyway. They want a visual, simple tool to use. So again, this is really nice. I can change, I've got my classes for different font sizes, for uppercase, lowercase, italics, all that good stuff. Same thing for spacing. It works very much the same way for spacing variables, as well as classes for gap, margin, and padding. As I did with typography, we're just looking at different scales here. So that this is a nice visual reference to know how big each one of these gaps is going to be. And this is nice because we can come here and we can keep using this tool, this little dashboard, as a reference as we're building out our sites. So as we need a space, we can come here and we can see, based on our preferences, our settings, what space 3XL actually looks like. We don't have to guess, or we don't have to put it in our tool and see what it looks like. We can just look right here in the builder and know what our colors are, what all of our variables look like, all that stuff. Components, again, this is super cool that we can come in and we can modify all this stuff. I can modify the colors, the border bottoms. I can set other properties that are going to be applied for this link class. This, I think, is just a killer feature. And it looks like I can add more components here as well. I even liked it. Let's see, we have breakpoints here. Does this show me buttons? Okay, so yes. So yeah, I even have pseudo classes here. And it's got a lot of this stuff predefined for me, which is really, really nice, and some modifiers. So button small, button large, secondary, et cetera, et cetera. This is one of those things that I don't think people understand how much work it takes to put all this stuff together in your own CSS. And the guys here at Core Framework, they did it for us. And they gave us a tool to manage it and to build it all for us. And that is just super awesome. So, it's not defining everything for us. It's not telling us like, this is what a button should look like, and this is how it's always going to work. It gives us the flexibility to change this stuff, to modify it however we want. And that's just the killer feature. All right, now we're in here to layouts, and this is all going to be pretty generic utilities. I haven't looked at these too much in depth, but I do like, again, I do like the fact that I can take any of these utilities and I can add more properties to them, or I can change the values if I want them. I can change the selectors if I want to. This thing is totally flexible. And of course I can add more selector groups and variable groups if I need to. Design, this is another place where I haven't explored too much, but it seems like a similar thing where this is really a category to hold a bunch of different utility classes. And then this is other miscellaneous utility classes that don't exist elsewhere. Again, really nice. So here's the one thing that happened at the end of my demo the last time is that I forgot to hit push changes. It never occurred to me that push changes is what saves this here inside the builder. I was expecting to see a save button, or the fact that I didn't see a save button was making me think that it was automatically saving all this stuff for me and I wouldn't need to do anything. But I navigated away from this page just to later on come back and find out that I lost all the work that I had done previously, and I was really not happy about it. So push changes, maybe think about renaming that. I don't know. Or making it more obvious. The other thing that I thought about while I was in here was that, this Core Framework web app is super nice in that it lets me do what I need to do, but it works for one project. If I have another project that I'm working on, I've got to bring in the core file from my local computer. It doesn't seem to have a way to save different projects that I can load here inside the web app. And maybe there is something that I just haven't found yet. This is still a version 1.0, and this is me playing with it for an hour. I'm not sure. But it would be nice to be able to select from multiple projects here inside the builder. While I'm talking about it, I asked a question in the Facebook group about that builder, because they've got the online builder that's over here, but they also have their plugin for WordPress, which has its own builder. And one of the things that I think about when I'm looking at a framework, a framework is something that's going to live with your project for the life of it, which can be 3-5 years, even more. And I want to make sure that my framework doesn't go anywhere. I want to make sure that if something were to happen to the Core Framework people, that things would not break, that I could still come in and modify any of this stuff, without too much trouble. If something were to happen to this website, and this is a problem that we had with Oxymade all the time, was that it relied heavily on the website to do pretty much anything. And the Oxymade website was not the most reliable thing in the world. It would go down quite often. And I can't tell you how many times I'd be in there and trying to start a new project, and the website would be down, and I can't start a new project because it can't do my registration, whatever it is. Super frustrating. And I wanted to make sure that the Core Framework was not relying on the coreframework.com in order to do that. And, in the Facebook group, they did assure me that it's loading this off here from the plugin, and that everything that we do inside of here is being saved to the WordPress database, not being saved anywhere up in the cloud. That I can import and export straight from here, and that it's all going to be, kind of a self-contained thing. I could probably, test that out by taking myself offline and seeing if it still worked, but I'm just going to trust them on that. I did also ask, because I personally have been doing more and more just plain vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript websites, whether there was a thought of ever turning this builder into a standalone product, something that just runs as a, web app. That I can load up anywhere. And they said that they hadn't had any plans for it. They hadn't thought about it. Interesting idea. We'll see where it goes. I personally would love something like that, because I don't always want to be beholden to a WordPress install. And I don't want to feel like I have to go to this website. And if I don't go to this website, I can't access it. I would love to have a standalone web app. I also do not know whether this is open source or not. I'm guessing it's GPL at least, but it's something that I'll need to look into a little bit more. Again, for a framework, I would really want it to be open sourced. I would want this to be something that I'm free to use. Again, if this Core Framework company ever goes out of business, I don't want to be left with a product or a framework that either stops working or that I've got to manually manage from now until the end of the website's useful life. All right. So that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and just do a quick demo. So I've got some basic stuff in here. I'm going to just modify some of these colors a little bit more and make this a super ugly green. And we're going to make this I don't know, whatever color blue that is. Cool. Push changes. Preview CSS. Gives me all the CSS that I need here. And we're going to copy that CSS. Better yet, I'm going to download that CSS file, save as, and I bring that over here and save that to project directory, testing ground, follow project, CSS, and I'm going to save that over the CSS file that I saved earlier this evening. There we go. And I'm going to come back in here, reload this, and I'm going to start a new project. just do this. Let's close this thing out. And I'm just going to start a new project, plain vanilla HTML. Save this thing and put testing grounds. I'm going to go Philo Project 2, PG Project 2. Save that. Yes, I want to open it as a project. There we go. And all right, so here we have a brand new project, just plain old vanilla HTML, HTML and CSS. We can see we've got nothing in the HTML. We've got nothing in the CSS. And I've got that CSS file that I just saved a minute ago. I'm going to bring that into my new project directory. Boom, there it is. Reload this. Now I can see it. And I'm going to attach it to my HTML file. Manage style sheets, open. Bring that in. Cool. There we go. Added and attached. And now if we look at that, you can see that I've got my style.css as well as the default core framework project CSS. And now I can start using this thing. So let's just build something super simple. I'm just going to do a hero section like this that's got, heading, text, and just a button and an image on the other side. And I'm not going to worry about making it look anything like this. Probably going to make it look a whole lot uglier than this. But just so you know what we're going to try to build. So coming over here, and we're going to start off just by inserting a section. Pop that right in there. Then I'm going to make one div. And inside of that, I want a heading 1 with the text. It says this. And then a paragraph. And by the way, I'm just using kind of the shorthand pug because I hate dragging and dropping all these elements over. I think that's silly. So then I've got a paragraph there. Then I'm going to do another div. And inside that, I'm going to do an anchor for my button. And I'm just going to have that say get started. Drag all this, pop it right into my section. And then I'm going to have another div with an image inside of it. And I'm going to put there. All right. So now you can see I've got a div with an image and a div with a heading 1, paragraph, and then a div inside of that and an anchor. So let's start using this framework. So we're going to start off with my section, and I want to give this a class of flex. And here's where my lack of knowledge and experience with the Oxy framework, with the core framework, comes into play, because I don't have all these class names memorized. And with any framework, you're going to end up memorizing a bunch of someone here is in the chat saying that they never knew that you could write full code in that little box for the longest time. Yes, you can do that. You can use full code in here. You can use pug. I think you can even use twig. I might be wrong about that. But yeah, I love this insert code box. It just makes my life super duper easy. All right. So what was I saying? Yes, I was saying that I don't know all the class names by heart, and this is just something that comes with time. There's no shortcuts to it. And you'll just have to start using the framework and they'll start coming to you. So I'm going to come back here to my reference since I don't know this stuff and my layouts. And I've got row, which gives me a grid layout. Column start. I don't want grid though. I want a flex. So I want a flex row. So let's try that. Bring that over to here. And we're going to add a class. Flex. Why is this not populating? Refresh. Refreshing my style sheet list. Come on, there you go. Clear my recents. Really interesting that it's usually pretty good at picking up the classes. Do I have this thing loaded? Let's double check. All right, so I've got all those in there. Yep. And I've got that loaded. Okay. So now I want to do a flex row. So we're just going to type it in then. Oh, that's why. No, it's not. I apologize. I'm having a moment apparently. So I don't want to create a new class. There we go. So I can add flex row. Not sure why it's not auto-populating. I'm going to try and close and reload this project just to see if that kicks it in the butt a little bit. Okay, so flex row. And here's where we start to see some of what I was talking about before, in that I generally like to see a little bit more from a reset. Things like this with my image. I'd want this to say, width 100%. And I don't know if I can easily find. Yeah, see, here we go. Now my classes are populated. So here, full width. There we go. See, as soon as I add the full width class to it, it makes that right again. But generally, I would want my divs to also be full width. Let's just do this. Section, I'm going to show this. If I do a section with 2 divs, hide that. Boom. Just kidding. Unhide. Hide this one. So I've got a section here with 2 divs. And let's give this section just a little bit of height. And then I've got a div there and a div there, and they've got nothing. Here, let's make this a flex. I would generally expect to see these as having, 100% width, so that they actually had something in there, but they don't. So that's, maybe it's just part of my own reset. Maybe it's part of, projects that I've done over and over again. I expect to see more in there, and it's just not in it. Anyway, not the end of the world. All right, so I've got this. Let's go ahead and take my section here. I want to put a padding all around it. So let's just take a padding class, and I'll grab padding. We'll do 2XL padding. Whoa, that's way too much padding. I'm just going to do padding 3XL, 4XL. I just want padding XL. All right, padding XL, good. And I want a gap as well. So let's do gap 2XL, just to give me a little bit of gap between my text here and my image. I don't like the size of this. I think that's way too big. So I'm just going to do text, and yep, 2XL, that looks nice. And here, I want this to be text large. And I want to do font 600 to make it a little bit bolder. Yeah, font 600, that's a bit too much. Let's take it to 500, doesn't do anything. We'll keep it at 600. And then here, I've got this get started, and I want to make this a button. So I'm just going to add my button class to it. And you can see that it's already done this. That is just way more rounded than I want, though. So I'm just going to take my radius and do a radius small. And that looks a whole lot better. But I don't like it being full width like that. So I wonder if I've got full width, auto width, I've got max site width. Do I have just a regular width? I want just something that's going to say width 50%. Got max widths. Spacing, would it be in here? Nope, layouts. So that leads me to also think that a search feature in here to find the classes would be super duper helpful. Because sometimes I know a word or two of what I want, but going through each of these things to find it might be a little cumbersome. All right, so width and height. So I've got my max site width. Here we go. Yeah, so I've got a bunch of max width classes, but not much in terms of just forced regular width, which again is fine because here, you know, if I wanted to, I could create more classes if I know that I need them. It's just kind of a bummer that they don't have them out the box. But, you know, they're not going to be able to think of everything, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and we're just going to create one here. I'm just going to call it button width 50. And I'm going to put that in my style sheet. And I'm going to give that a width of 50%. Boom. All right. And I'm going to want to center that up here. So we'll come in and we'll do a class of flex. Boom. Content center. There we go. And that's centered up. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but we're getting somewhere. And you can start to see, you know, how all this works. The utilities are nice. I think there could be some more in here. I definitely would love to see more in terms of defaults out of the box. But again, you know, this is for a vanilla HTML, CSS project. If I were to come over here and go inside WordPress, you know, WordPress is going to have a bunch of defaults, you know, depending on what theme you're using. If you're building a theme from scratch, like I tend to do, then, you know, in that case, you would need a reset. You would need those default things. But if you're using another theme, I guess in that case, it's good that it doesn't have anything that's overriding. So maybe I'll go back on my earlier recommendation and say, give us the option to have a reset, which as I follow that train of thought leads me to believe that maybe I would just put all that here under other and call it reset or something like that. I don't know. But I think more can be done there, or should be done there. Maybe it is for Bricks. Yeah, well, I guess Bricks has a bunch of its own default stylings that it puts in place. You know, I know enough Bricks to be dangerous. You know, I use a lot of Oxygen, a tiny bit of Bricks. Bricks mostly on you know, for playing around and learning it. But I don't know the ins and outs. I haven't done, you know, full projects inside Bricks to know, you know, all the rules that are in there by default. The same way that I did when I used Oxygen as my main builder. So yeah, so inside the core framework, I've got the plugin loaded. I'm going to just put this on 2023 theme. And if we take a look, I'm going to go to the home page. Boom, boom, boom. That's not the page that I want. I'm going to go to my front page. And let's remove that. All right. What is happening here? What in God's name? All right, so my heading 1. There we go. I put a class on it. Get rid of that. So I've got the plugin loaded. Not a whole lot else. I'll just go through and show you guys. Core Framework plugin loaded. ACF loaded. I have some dummy data loaded and 2023 theme. So dummy data for pages and posts and 2023 theme. I'm going to go to front page. And you can see this has basic headings in there, list, unordered lists, etc., etc. And I'm going to take this heading here, and I don't want it to be so big. So again, I want to do text. And here's the problem that I found. Maybe this is something because I'm running it on local WP and not a real WordPress server. I'm not sure. But I believe that this is supposed to auto-complete the classes for me. Let's see if I do a period. Nope, still nothing. So this doesn't seem to be working as expected. Again, it could be something that I'm doing wrong. I'm not sure. So I'm going to just add the class TextXL and view that page. And now we can see that it's changed it. So we know that it's being applied. If I go to inspect, I can see that my TextXL class is there. If I come down here, I can see that it's being applied from the core framework CSS file. And that's applying my clamp. If I come back into edit site again, not edit site, damn you FSE. If I come back and edit page again, here we are. And I come over to my colors. We can see that it's loaded up some theme colors, although I was under the impression that it was supposed to load those colors from the core framework, and it doesn't seem to have done that. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Maybe I need to press my push changes button in here. I'm not sure. I hit my preview. Generate some CSS for me. Interesting. Did I not load this up? Okay, yeah, this is the default. Just kidding. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and import the file that I had previously exported. I've got a CSS file. Never mind. I'm just going to leave it as is, and I'm going to leave the preferences as is. I'm not going to change anything here. I'm going to leave my colors, typography, all that stuff as the defaults. Push changes. And then I want to come over, edit page, and see if hitting push. Here we go. Here's the problem with font size 62.5. Look at how tiny this font is. That's just bananas. Because it's taken all the fonts and made them 62.5% of their normal size. There's some ways that you can get around that inside the Gutenberg editor, but what a pain in the ass. So no, make that go away. There we go. That's more like it. So think about it. You know, maybe you're using a builder like Bricks or Oxygen, and it's okay to have your 62.5 inside that builder. But you know, your clients are probably editing blog posts using Gutenberg. They're probably not going inside Bricks or Oxygen. And as soon as they go inside to edit their blog post, they're going to see that itty bitty little print and start to wonder what you're smoking. It's not a good experience for anybody. So maybe it's something that core framework people can address with the rules that they're writing in the CSS file. They've got to do some editor. Make an editor CSS file to override some of the things that are in here by default. I'm not sure. I'd have to dig into it and take a look. Anyway, let's see now that I've done push changes, whether any of that, yes, now that I've hit push changes, I'm starting to see some more things in here. So this is kind of cool. I had never noticed this before. So I've got my background. Oh, this is nice. This is all right. All right, I'll take it. This doesn't suck. And here I was complaining that I couldn't search. You know, let's do this. Yeah, all right, so I start to type something and I'm not sure what I'm seeing. I'm seeing my active core framework class. I'm not sure what searching is doing. It's saying no results found. Well, that's because I've got a period. But if I type text in there, it should be showing me a bunch of my text classes. And I don't know why it's not. Anyway. Fluid typography. Text medium. Now I have no idea what's happening. Here, let's take out that. What is happening? Why does that keep coming back? All right, so clearly this is going to need a little bit more work, or maybe I need some more work so that I'm not quite so inept. I would also expect to only see controls that apply to whatever I have selected, but maybe that comes later. So I would really expect to only see things for text related stuff, typography, text modifiers, text alignment, text left. Okay, so, and it's also nice that as I'm doing this, that it's showing up in real time. That's kind of nice. I'm digging it. Color, text color. I'm going to change that to text secondary 50. All right, I've done that. I don't like text secondary 50. I'm going to go text secondary D1. That's better, more readable. What about size? Fluid typography, text medium. That's interesting. So again, this is one of those places where my editor styles are different than my front end. Let's take a look at the front end. See, that's totally showing up on the front end here. Got my text XL there. And there we are, text XL. But when I'm looking at it in here, block editor, where am I seeing it? Yeah, I'm just seeing my editor styles. It's not my text M style, my medium text style is being overridden by the editor style sheet. So that's definitely something that the plugin author is going to need to work on. Again, though, for version 1.0, pretty awesome, especially since I'm guessing people are mostly going to be using this inside Bricks and Oxygen in the very beginning. But man, I really want to see this thing working inside of Gutenberg, because we need some good Gutenberg CSS framework goodness here. And the more I'm looking at this, the more I kind of like it. Let's take a look in there. Oh, wow. Holy cow. So this has the chance, this has the opportunity to become a real mess. It's gone ahead and populated my Gutenberg colors with everything. Maybe an option to only show the main colors and not every variant. I don't know. But I can't imagine handing this to a client to do their editing and being like, here's your color palette, go nuts. That wouldn't end well for anybody. Gutenberg Twilight Zone. Yes, exactly. Gutenberg Twilight Zone. Freaking Gutenberg editor styles is what it is. Yeah, I mean, overall, this is pretty awesome. I don't have bricks loaded on this particular site, and I don't even have a demo to spin up right now. I know somebody is going to do a bricks demo of this thing tomorrow or Wednesday, no doubt about it. But frankly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're using bricks. It doesn't matter whether you're using, Oxygen. The framework's the framework. The core of this thing really comes down to this and this control panel and the power that this thing gives you. So overall, I think there's a lot that they could be doing different or better in here. I think there is a lot that could be added to it. I would love to see some more beginner-friendly defaults, I guess is what I'd call them. That, or at least something that would, what am I trying to say? I guess a few more styles in here that people that aren't used to writing their own CSS might not realize that they need or want. And maybe it doesn't apply so much inside WordPress as it does outside WordPress. But, even stuff like focus styles, I didn't see a whole lot of that going on. Let's come over to components real quick. I don't think I saw any focus styles in here. Now we do have focus styles. We've got that for the button. Do we have it for a link? See, here we go. We've got it for the link class, the button class. I did not see any sort of focus style for an anchor though. And again, that's one of those places where you'd want it. I'm not seeing it for any of the elements And again, an element like a button, like an anchor, like anything that is keyword focusable should have a focus class. And that's typically something that the framework would control. And I would expect to see it in here. So, and I don't. Not that it's wrong. Again, they might have a philosophical difference of opinion, and that's okay. But I think for beginners, it would be helpful to have it. And definitely for projects that are outside WordPress, having some sort of toggle that says, apply a reset that doesn't suck, and some default settings. Here's some default settings that we think you should use. Modify them to your heart's content. Go nuts. I think that would be helpful instead of kind of a more bare bones what they have here. Overall, though, this is super awesome. I think is going to compete really well with some of the other frameworks that are out there. ACSS, automatic CSS is one of them. Oxyprops is the other big one for WordPress. I think they're both great frameworks. Where does this sit inside the framework world, I guess is the question. So if I look at the WordPress world, we've got automatic CSS that a lot of people already know about. This has quite a few utility classes and has quite a few variables in here. The thing about this is it's relatively opinionated. It kind of wants you to do things the ACSS way. So one of the things that I'm liking about Core Frameworks is that it's not as opinionated. It gives me the flexibility to change and modify things however I want. ACSS does that too to some extent, not nearly with the power, flexibility, and ease of use as Core Framework does though. Both of them though, however, do give you a good mix of utilities and variables. If we take a look at, Oxyprops? We take a look at Oxyprops. Yes, I'll take my cookies. This is very much, it's actually based on OpenProps. Which is mostly CSS variables with a few utility classes built in. I love OpenProps. I think this is just such a cool framework. However, I think it could benefit from a few more utilities. Look at the other side of that, and we've got Tailwind, which is all utility and almost no variables. And the variables that you do have, well, actually, let me take it back. It does have a ton of variables. It just doesn't give you access to those variables very easily inside the utility classes. So I can't very easily come in and use the variable for the font size variable inside something else. This kind of swings one direction in that it is almost all utility classes. This swings the other direction in that it is almost all variables. And then we've got things like Core Framework and ACSS that offer a pretty good mix of both. And the thing that I'm loving about Core Framework is that it's not just WordPress dependent, that I can use this outside WordPress. And I think that is going to be a huge strength. And it's going to compete pretty nicely with things like Oxyprops and Tailwind for people that just want a very basic framework that's flexible, that's easy to use, and that has a really nice interface for modifying and managing it. I mean, this is freaking slick. I can't tell you how, I'm really impressed. These guys have done great work, and there's a lot more work to do, but holy cow, this is pretty cool. All right, enough of me rambling. I think they've done a great job. I think this is definitely worth checking out. If you're on the fence about using a framework, I don't think you're going to go wrong using this. The team behind it is, they've been around the block. They know what they're doing. Oxy Ninja was one of the best frameworks out there in the Oxygen world for a very long time. This same team made the very awesome Motion.page. So this is a fantastic plugin to use inside WordPress if you want to do some GSAP animations. They built this GSAP editor that's just, you got to see it. I think the only thing that compares to it is probably the PineGrow editor. but Pine Grow is Pine Grow. I love it, but not everyone does. I think this is a fantastic plugin. The team behind the core framework, they know what they're doing. They've been around. They're not going anywhere. You don't need to worry about them not supporting you in the future. So I say jump in. And the price is right. Holy cow. Did I mention the price is right? Check this out. Plugin. Here we go. View Marketplace. So Gutenberg integration, free. Bricks and Oxygen integration, $99 each, one-time payment, 99 pounds each, one-time payment, euros each, sorry, one-time payment, unlimited websites. Let's take a look at that compared to OxyProps, which also has pretty good pricing. Where's my pricing? Here we go. So here we go. Agency, unlimited websites, $99 per year. Compared to $99 one time. And automatic CSS, $99 per year for Agency Lite for 15 websites, 100 websites, $149 per year, and they don't have a lifetime price available. Yes, I know he's run an LTD when it first came out. He's running another one tomorrow. I guess it's today now. I expect this to probably be, 3 times the annual price for the LTD. Either way, doesn't matter. $99 one-time payment for your builder of choice. You cannot beat that, especially when you consider that the core of this thing is totally free. The Gutenberg integration, totally free. And yeah, that's saying a lot. So these guys have done a great job. Hats off to them. I'm really, really happy that they did this. And I think it's just going to push everybody forward and improve the landscape everywhere. So that's enough of me gushing and rambling and ranting tonight. Thank you, everybody, if you hung in there. See y'all later.